I found Willa Wellness through a referral from a naturopath that I really trust. Once I started looking into it, I realized the community that was created for pregnant women, postpartum women, and all sorts of community members in this area. And as people who are relatively new to this area, going through the pregnancy journey for the first time, I certainly wanted to join this network and to meet other similar-minded moms and new parents. Something specifically that attracted me to this birth class was the combination, both from the yoga side as well as the pelvic floor therapist. A lot of my friends who have recently had children have been emphasizing the importance of pelvic floor therapy, sometimes after they've delivered, and they've had a lot of regrets not investing in that beforehand. So I wanted to make sure I'm taking care of myself as much as possible. Lastly, I would say I was really attracted to this class because it's something I could do with my husband, my partner, and that there's so much of birth and pregnancy that is really focused specifically on the mom. And this was something that felt like we could really share in it, and his voice could be heard, his experience can be honored, and we could feel like this is something we're truly going through as a partnership.
About maybe 3 or 4 months in, we've been reading the books, going through the motions, learning everything we could, and we knew that it was time to take some sort of class. And of course, my first thought was something at the hospital. That just seems like that's where I thought all of them were. Swedish, where we're planning to give birth, has tons of classes. I thought that made sense. And I didn't even really think to look outside of there. I think the education we get from there is good, but it's very clinical, and I think that this class offers a much more holistic approach, and feedback as well, I think, was something really important to us, to be able to ask questions and not just get a response, but also get, people's stories and people's lived experiences.
When starting this pregnancy journey and preparing for birth is a massive transition, a massive event for any person to go through that has long-lasting effects for the rest of your life. So I really wanted to make sure I was honoring that, as well as setting myself up for the most success as possible. Birth felt very overwhelming to me. I felt like I knew enough to be very scared, and I felt as though there was so much out of my control that it was really overwhelming. I've read a lot of books, podcasts. We've done classes at the hospital. The biggest takeaways I would say I've had from this class, one, community, to have an intimate group of, 5 to 8 couples who were going through something all together, some for the first time, some this is the second, third time. So to hear different perspectives, fears, vulnerabilities, as well as the instructors, how they shared and opened up and were vulnerable about their cumulative 5 pregnancies, and how each one was vastly different, was really honest, life-changing, and helped me to learn a lot. Now that the class is over, I feel so much more comfortable understanding steps I can take to influence my birth, while also letting go where I need to, knowing I can't control my birth, and coming to peace with that. I also really liked in this class, everybody's coming in from a different place. Everybody has different goals, intentions, and what's important to them. And the instructors it never felt as though the instructors were pushing us on to a single path. I felt as though every path, every decision was being honored. And even at the end of this class, everybody feels more confident in their own decisions, even if every single person has different things that matter and are important to them. So it was nice to be able to be in an environment where you can open up and talk about your goals, desires, fears, and what you want from your birth without ever feeling pushed in one direction or the other. I like that the instructors talked about all their different births, how they were all different, and honoring and respecting them, honoring and respecting other births from people in their lives without ever pushing all of the students or participants in the class into one direction.
Yeah, and for how sort of different everyone's lives are here, we also come to realize through the circle time and homework assignments that actually most people do have the same fears. Mm-hmm. It ended up kind of coming down to a lot of the same things. And that sense of community made me realize, like, oh, everyone has these, and we're all going to get through it.
Honestly, especially for men. I've said this before, but I don't think there's enough environments in the pregnancy journey where men have the platform or opportunity to share their vulnerabilities, confusion, questions, fears. So this was a really important platform for that. And I think it brought us closer together because we were both able to talk about our fears, desires, hopes, dreams, and everything for the pregnancy and birth and subsequent postpartum and child rearing journey.
What is a pelvic floor anyway? We'll learn here. We learned a lot over these 5 classes. And it really, it's very like holistic and kind of just like lifestyle approach about how, while we are doing this together, obviously, you're the one carrying the child, and I am the one who needs to know everything I can to be able to support that. I think even just as simple as like ways to touch you, ways to communicate, ways to be prepared, ways to think ahead and be your brain when you won't be able to do that. It's given me a lot of confidence and skills, and even just really realizing, there was probably a lot of things I didn't even necessarily know that I would need to help you with, especially like postpartum, as we talked about today, and confinement periods, and really how intense it is for her and how much it'll be for me to make sure that she can get back to full strength afterwards. Even better.
Yeah.
I will say in general, every day leaving this class, I felt like, wow, this is a very like advanced course in childbirth, and I felt like, of course at a hospital, they do feel sort of surface level. They kind of feel like, an intro class in college. But this feels like, more like a graduate level class, and this type of stuff. And it always led us to some interesting conversations on the way home from it. And just, what would we do in this scenario and that scenario? And, just reframing a lot of things for us.
I found the homeworks really helped a lot. They were very impactful, creating a forcing mechanism for us to have these conversations that we never would have thought about. Really thinking through alternative birth scenarios. A lot of times I think when you're at this stage of pregnancy, you might assume your birth will go one way, and I think that causes a lot of birth trauma for people when birth suddenly doesn't go your way and you hadn't thought about these scenarios. So to actually sit down, have these conversations, talk about what would we do, and even work through those associated fears has been really helpful. One thing that helped to reframe my brain in this preparation from this course was the concept of purposeful pain, as well as realizing and accepting that this pain is not hurting my body. My body was meant for this, and I've prepared for this, and I can do it. That I have ancestors and, hundreds, if not thousands of years behind me of women who have done this, and I have more preparation and resources than probably any of them could have ever imagined. And I just feel more at peace and confident in my own body. So I know when I go into birth, I'll be thinking of all these mantras that we've talked through.
Another thing that I really enjoyed from this class that I didn't expect really was, it's a busy time being 7 months pregnant. Not a lot of energy after work or on the weekends, really just want to relax. So we haven't been getting out a ton. But, these 3 hours, it's like a mini date night in a way. It gets us talking about really interesting things on the way home and on the way too. And, it's a reason to stop and grab a little treat afterwards or something. And, it's just really nice. It's a nice way to spend some quality time during a busy time.
I imagine that I would have to drag him into doing the homework assignments and to every class, but I was very pleasantly surprised that after the first class, he was a very eager participant, always excited about doing the homework together because it's a bonding moment, and always eager, excited to get to the class as early as possible, to meet with everybody else, chat with everybody else, and to see what the class had for us that night.
Yeah, this class also, being after work on Thursday nights once a week. Thursday is kind of a good time to wind down before Friday. Just really gave us some good structure in a time where, there's a million things to prepare for and, a million things that need done in the next few months. So what do you start with first and that? And, really overwhelming, but, this... something to look forward to every week was like, oh, we're learning about pushing this week. We're learning about postpartum this week. That's something we don't know about yet. That'll be exciting to learn about. It was really, a great thing to have every week.
Yeah. Pregnancy can feel long, 9 or 10 months, but it flies by and happens much quicker than we expected. So to commit to a class once a week where we knew we'd get like chock full of knowledge, as opposed to continuously putting things on the back burner, writing down on our list, we have to remember to read this book or to read this article or to research this topic. Again, the forcing mechanism, to hold us accountable to really learn and talk through these concepts has been really helpful because the time flies by and suddenly you're 31 weeks.
Brent reminded me of, days of being in college and, going to a night class once a week. And, it's fun to learn new things, especially, we've both been out of school for a while, and it's nice to know that we still have it and have the ability to learn new things.
Yeah. Another thing I liked from this class that changed my brain and why I would encourage a lot of other people to join this class was if you don't know your options, you don't have any options. So this class was really helpful in making sure you understand all the different options, all the different things you'll be presented with during birth, so you could choose or lean towards what matters most to you. Yeah, and for all the soon-to-be dads out there, I know there could be some skepticism about, going to a birthing class, and but it's totally worth it. And if you don't do it for yourself, do it for your wife. Thank you. I like that. I would say if you're on the fence about the investment into this class, we've done a lot of preparation. We've read a lot of books. We really like to get our knowledge from a lot of different areas, and I would say this is single-handedly the most impactful and most important thing we've done during our pregnancy and birth journey. The investment has absolutely paid off, and we haven't even given birth yet, but just the feeling of confidence and the amount of fearing and anxiety or the difference in when we started the class versus today is insurmountable, and it's allowing us to really enjoy the final parts of our pregnancy as opposed to feeling so overwhelmed. The book they put together could be like a Bible for us. I'm certainly going to keep it in our kitchen, in my bedroom for the rest of pregnancy, postpartum, and very long to come after. You wouldn't be able to find the amount of resources and advice elsewhere.
Boom. Nice.
I feel done,
Yeah, that was good.
Okay, we're done.